What's going on, guys? B. Scott here with you on today's show. We got your quarterback sit starts heading in to week number 13. I'm going to roll through the quarterbacks, tell you which ones I like to start, which ones to sit, and a few streaming options this week. So keep it locked and loaded right here at the First 4 Downs. Everybody, welcome back. As I mentioned in the preview, we're going through your quarterback sit starts heading into week number 13. The way I like to do it, I rattle off my top 10, sometimes top 12 quarterbacks for the week, and then I mention a few guys that I like as sits this week just based on their matchups, and then a few guys to stream for this week if need be. So before we get to today's content, don't forget, like the video, subscribe, share, thumb bell, all that good stuff, and then comment. If there's a quarterback I don't talk about, because I'm not going to talk about every single one, drop in the comment section. I'll be glad to give you my opinion, my advice, whether to sit start, one over the other, pick two, whatever you want to do, super flex. Any questions, drop in the comment section. I'll be glad to give you my advice. So let's start with your must-start quarterbacks. I start at the top, and I'm going to give credit to Tom Brady. He's been absolutely outstanding on the season. Now, yes, his huge production has fallen off a little bit as of late, but he's still been great. He's at the Atlanta Falcons, just a smash spot here. The Atlanta Falcons defense is terrible. Last time they played each other, Brady went off, so you're starting Tom Brady. Josh Allen versus New England Patriots. Patriots defense played very well, but you can't sit Josh Allen. There's too much upside there, and he's at home on Monday Night Football. Josh Allen will be fine. Pat Mahomes facing the Denver Broncos. Denver Broncos defense played very, very well, but Patrick Mahomes and those Kansas City Chiefs, they finally started to pick it up as of late, and they got the momentum going. Now, yes, he has the upside. You've seen it, and he hasn't necessarily shown it on a weekly basis, but there's no way you're sitting Patrick Mahomes. Justin Herbert at the Cincinnati Bengals. Kind of a tough spot here. Cincinnati's defense played very well. 7th fewest fantasy points to the quarterback position. But you'll see it over the last couple weeks. Justin Herbert, his rushing upside is coming. 90 yards 2 weeks ago, 36 yards last week. And he always has the upside to have those big passing numbers anyway. So you give him 30 to 40 rushing yards on a weekly basis, it's going to put him in the top 5 every single week. So obviously you're starting Justin Herbert. Jalen Hurts, dealing with a little bit of an ankle injury. Now, they're at the New York Jets, a team in which they could probably beat them easily, even with the backup if they had to. So I would worry about Jalen Hurts, potentially, if he's not going to go. But if he's going, you got the Jets. There's no way you're sitting him. Albeit, yes, you saw he dudded out last week. How much was that due to an ankle injury? How much was that due to the Giants' defense in a divisional matchup? I'm not so sure, but either way, Jalen Hurts, there's no way you could sit him if he's your QB1. He's been very consistent on the season. Last few games, yes, they've rushed the ball a whole lot, so you got to worry about that, but Jalen Hurts has been outstanding, so I would be starting him if he's available. Dak Prescott at the New Orleans Saints. New Orleans Saints secondary's kind of fallen apart a little bit, especially as of late. Just got torched by Buffalo on Thanksgiving Day. Now the Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott coming off a great game, 375, 2 touchdowns without his starting 2 receivers. He gets CeeDee Lamb back. He's not going to have Amari Cooper, but I think there's no way you could sit Dak Prescott here, so you're firing him. Kyler Murray, hopefully returning back to the lineup. Realistically, any given week could be the QB1. He's at the Chicago Bears. Another good spot. The secondary of the Bears has really struggled, and the defense as a whole bit with injuries. So Kyler Murray, you're starting him if he's healthy. Lamar Jackson at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, this is a tough divisional matchup in which we saw it on Monday Night Football with the Cleveland Browns. This division, they play each other tough, and typically there's not a ton of points to be had, but the Pittsburgh Steelers defense has really been reeling as of late. You saw it, Cincinnati just destroyed them. The week before that, Los Angeles Chargers, Justin Herbert lit them up. So how could you sit Lamar Jackson just with his upside? There's no way. So you're starting him. Matthew Stafford, he's facing the Jacksonville Jaguars at home. Stafford has struggled a little bit, throwing interceptions, but his numbers are still good, especially for fantasy, and they should be able to get back on track here. 300-plus yards, 2 touchdowns. That's kind of the Stafford given. And the Jacksonville Jaguars, albeit, has played pretty tough on defense, especially as of late. There's no way I could sit Matthew Stafford. I'd be starting him. And then Kirk Cousins is going to round out my top 10. He's at the Detroit Lions. Kirk Cousins has 4 straight games with multiple passing touchdowns. And the Detroit Lions defense as a whole, they play okay in spurts, but they're not great. So you're firing Kirk Cousins here in a divisional matchup. So now on a couple sits, guys that I think I'd probably be sitting this week. First off, it's going to be Russell Wilson. It's sad to say, since he's come back from injury, he just doesn't look the same. I don't know if he's struggling to throw the football, if the whole offense is just out of sync. They can't run the football. Alex Collins just doesn't look explosive. DJ Dallas, they're not really getting it done at all. And then Russell Wilson, they're leaning on him so heavily, and he looks a little rusty and kind of out of sorts, and the offensive line is struggling. So Russell Wilson, I'd potentially be sitting him here. He's facing the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers, middle of the pack against quarterbacks, but they've only allowed just 4 touchdowns over the last 4 games passing. So it's just not a good spot here. Russell Wilson hasn't cleared 250 yards passing since week 3. That's 5 games since he's been healthy, 2 before he got injured, and then 3 after he got injured. And just 2 touchdowns since he returned, and really only had 1 touchdown. They kind of gave him the touchdown at the end of that game. That was incredibly blown coverage for that touchdown. Outside of that, Russell Wilson would have finished with 1 touchdown. So I don't like the start. I don't like the matchup this week, and it's going to be tough for Russell Wilson. I'd be sitting him and looking elsewhere. And then another guy I don't necessarily love is Joe Burrow. Now, Joe Burrow's been great on the season, and it's hard to tell you just to sit him flat out because he's been good. Last week, they put up 40 points, and they didn't even need Burrow to throw the football. So, but Burrow is facing the Los Angeles Chargers, 6th fewest fantasy points to the quarterbacks, the 4th fewest passing yards. And Burrow, 3 straight games without multiple touchdown passes, and back-to-back games under 200 passing yards. So the offense is being more efficient. They're running the ball heavily. Joe Mixon, you see it, has played outstanding football. He's just getting it done. Top 5 back in the league. We've always known that he's had the talent. He just hasn't been able to put it together. And this season, he's looked great. Nothing short of outstanding. I give it to him. So Joe Burrow, this week facing the Chargers. I don't know what to make of this game. So I would say to sit Joe Burrow, but obviously if he's your quarterback and you're in a 12-team league, it's hard to sit him. It would be hard for me to stream some of these guys over him. But it could be a long day here. He hasn't played necessarily great over his last 3 games, so we'll have to wait and see, but he's on my sit list this week. So let's talk about some stream options that I like. First off, the Las Vegas Raiders, Washington football team. I like both these quarterbacks in this matchup. Derek Carr, I kind of had him as a sit. I thought he'd possibly struggle against the Dallas Cowboys. What did he do? Come out and throw 373 yards and a touchdown. Of course, when I think he's going to, not have a great day, he does. Now, he gets the Washington football team. They've given up the most fantasy points to the quarterback position. They've given up 26 passing touchdowns on the season, which leads the NFL. They've allowed multiple touchdown passes to quarterbacks in 8 of their last 9 games, and it's just shootout potential. Derek Carr has the potential to shoot it out with anybody, and he's played great, so I would be starting him this week as a good stream option. The over-under, 50 points, 1 of 3 games on the slate that has a 50-point over-under. That tells me that they think there's going to be a lot of points in this game. So I'd be starting Derek Carr. And on the flip side, Taylor Heineke, I'd also be rolling him out there. Now, yes, 2 of his last 3 games, he's thrown 1 touchdown in each of those games, and he's played efficiently enough, hasn't had great scores for fantasy, but they're winning football games and they're playing well. And this is a matchup in which the Las Vegas Raiders, 7th most fantasy points to quarterback position, just 4 interceptions on the season, so their secondary is not really scary. They're okay against wide receivers, but they struggle against tight end position. Logan Thomas should have a good day here. They've allowed huge days to quarterbacks in 2 of their last 3 games. Patrick Mahomes, 405 touchdowns. And then last week, Dak Prescott on Thanksgiving Day, 375, 2 touchdowns. So I like Heineke as a potential stream option, considering he could have 250 to 300 passing yards. Over his last 5 games, he's averaging 244 passing yards already, so I could see that on the plus side this week. And on top of that, I could see a couple scores here. So I would be starting Heineke just with the upside in the over-under of this game. There should be a lot of points to be had here. And then Taysom Hill, he's going to round out my last stream option. Now, I would talk about Carson Wentz a little bit. My only worry about Carson Wentz is they're facing the Houston Texans. They should beat them pretty handedly, so I would feel fine if you wanted to start Carson Wentz here, but Carson Wentz could have 150 yards and 1 touchdown, and Jonathan Taylor just dominate this game. So that's my worry with Wentz. But if you want to throw him out there as a stream option, he's a good one. Tyrod Taylor on the flip side, the Colts defense has really started to pick it up as of late. So I would be weary of Tyrod Taylor, albeit on paper, it shows that it's a good matchup. The Colts secondary is picking up just a little bit, and the pass rush is getting there. And Tyrod's got 2 touchdowns in back-to-back games, but he hasn't looked great through the air, so I don't know if I'd love him as a stream. But Taysom Hill, let's get to Taysom Hill. That was the guy I mentioned in the first place. He's facing the Dallas Cowboys. The defense has played well against quarterback position as a whole on the season for the most part. Just come off a game 373-1. You can exploit the secondary, especially with deep passes. And Taysom Hill has a rushing floor that's very, very safe on the season. And it's his first game as a starter. The running backs for the Saints, both of them are injured. Really, you don't know what you're going to get with Alvin Kamara if he's back and healthy. And on top of that, you got Mark Ingram, who's also dealing with a little bit of a knee injury. So that tells me Taysom Hill, there's a potential here for him to get a rushing touchdown, at least 1. And the Dallas Cowboys have given up 2 rushing touchdowns over their last 4 games, 2 quarterbacks. So I think Taysom Hill could have a safe floor type of day here. I mean, 20 points could happen considering he could have 50, 60 rushing yards and a rushing score. And then you add on 150 to 200 passing yards, maybe one score through the air as well. So Taysom Hill, a good stream option based on the game script and based on his production on the ground. So that's it. That's my quarterback sit starts heading in to week number 13. So if you have any questions, any quarterbacks you want to ask about, drop it in the comment section. I'll be glad to give you my advice, my opinions, start, sit, whatever questions you have. And while you're there, don't forget, like the video, subscribe, share, thumb bell, all the good stuff for all your fantasy information all season long. I have all your sit starts, your matchups, anything you could ask for. You could always ask a question in any of the comment sections, and I always reply to all the comments. So for the first 4 downs, it's been B. Scott, and I'm out.